a very funny incident that I remember was when the actors had to get drunk for that scene that they're shooting on the on top of that water tank, which in itself was a really risky shoot because there was a very fragile. I mean, not very fragile, but there was a limit to how many people could go up to that water tank and what kind of equipment could go up to that water tank. The final ascent was on a ladder, so that shoot had to be really designed with that in mind very specifically. And then I think it was Aamir who came up with this idea that hey, let's have a couple of drinks and loosen ourselves up. And then yeah, soon enough the actors were quite drunk, and that really shows very beautifully in that scene. And
Yeah.
so it was a very fun sequence actually.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining to talk about Rajkumar Hirani's Three Idiots, one of a lot of people's favorite, even to this day, and it's been almost 15 years, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Yeah,
came out in
and
2009.
nine, I think around Christmas time. Um, yeah, so tell me about your involvement uh, on Three Idiots. What did you do? And just to sort of start off with that.
Um, well, Three Idiots was my second film with Raju sir. I actually started my film career working with my first film was Lage Raho Munna Bhai. Then and Lage Raho Munna Bhai, that was like literally my first job ever, and then that was followed up by I was a second AD on Three Idiots. And yeah, I mean, I was involved in the film right from day one almost, um, and deeply involved in the entire process from location scouting, casting. I mean, it was a very the we had a sort of kind of wholesome system of work where everyone was sort of involved, pitched in, and only later when we went to shoot, it became more streamlined with taking on very specific roles. And wherever we had, the AD system, then we had two second ADs, which we would alternate between on-set AD and off-set AD. And yeah, I mean, it was in that sense, it was a very typically AD role, coordinating with all the departments, working with the actors, the usual.
Sure. And in that process of casting and location scouting, well, specifically casting, um, I'm sure there was a lot of considerations for different actors who came in and actresses for the roles. Um, if would you be able to share something that probably not known to mainstream in terms of what actors were considered, or the casting, auditioning that you saw and everything, and how they went?
Um, well, Raju sir is quite a, I mean, for him, casting is a really big deal, actually. And I remember that they did some very extensive casting for Maddie and Sharman's role, including screen tests, repeated screen tests, alone, with each other, with Amir involved in them. So they really went, I mean, very deep into their looks and making sure that, because they were all older actors, but making sure that they
Mhm.
all look sort of college age, with hair and makeup, with costumes. Um, and even the character of, what was his name? the the guy who sort of is like kind of the antagonist. What was his
Oh,
name?
I know exactly who you're talking about. He's an American actor.
Yes, he's an American actor, and that I remember I was at his screen test, and it was great working with him. He was really excited about the role, and he brought so much to the table for that role. And in fact, it was very early in the process where after his screen test, he got cast really quickly because of his, he was just so unique and so all round. and he was a fun
Yeah.
guy to work with, really fun guy to work with. All of them actually, they were really all really fun to work with. I went on to do another film with Sharman in the future, but they were all very easygoing. There was no star tantrums on that set. You know, it was a very wholesome kind of experience.
Yeah. No, his name was the character name was Jethro or Silencer.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
but I the thing is like, Rajkumar Hirani is one of those directors who's delivered one after the other, although
Absolutely.
respectfully, I kind of didn't like his latest film, and I walked out after watching half of it. But up until, honest, anything else he's done has been quite remarkable, from scripting to, getting the performances out of the actors and just the whole story and the dialogue and everything. He working with him, what was what was his process like, sort of dealing with him and, on the set or off the set? Any stories that you can share specifically?
Well, Raju sir is a real stickler for detail. You know, incredible stickler for detail, and it all starts deeply with his screenplay. You know, I think that's where he really first puts his heart into and immerses himself, and that's something that I really have learned from him for myself as well. Um, repeated rewrites. I mean, he was never satisfied with what he had, and there was constantly changes. Um, whatever he could do, even till the last day, changes of dialogue, changes of blocking. That was something that he was, very involved with, and kind of always working on that aspect of it. The other thing that was very, is also, something very special with him is he's very confident about what he wants because he's an editor. So there was no extra moments, no false notes. You know, he was very, very confident about how much he wants to shoot, what he wants to shoot. Most of the shoots are quite simple, I would say. Uh, they are not, very complex. Complex films are not shot in a very complex fashion, but he's very sure about what he needs. I think he already has a pre-decided edit in his mind, which he shoots, and then it's like a math equation with him. He's also
Can you,
very involved with
sorry,
his performances. Sorry.
no, no, go on. You kind of broke up a little bit, but go on.
He's deeply involved with his performances, and he again knows exactly what he wants. You know, he has this thing about always taking a he always gets what he wants and then gives the actor one or two takes to do what they want, but he definitely keeps working at it till he doesn't get exactly what he kind of wants. He doesn't shoot a lot, I would say. You know, he doesn't shoot normally. um
Mm.
but yeah, I think his confidence in his craft, with specificity to, I mean, he would shoot a scene one angle of it on a day, and happily, or well, not happily, but often enough for other reasons, he would shoot another angle on a different day very confidently. You know, or if there was an actor who was not available, he would shoot with a stand-in or without an actor, and then fit him into the scene very seamlessly. This is something that he's really like a master at.
Do you remember any specific stories on the set, whether it was with the actors or, even the crew, or anything that sort of went in the direction that wasn't supposed to go, but it worked out? I know it's been a long time, but do you remember any specific
Yeah,
stories?
I mean, I think I don't really remember something very small and detailed, but one of the most crazy things that happened to us was that we were shooting in Ladakh, and we were shooting in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the whole entire set and the crew stay and everything was all tense. It was just literally in the middle of nowhere, Somagiri Lake, and it was nobody had ever shot there before. I don't think anybody even knew about that place. And we had an out of season snowfall overnight. The entire valley was snowed in up to like waist high snow overnight. It was crazy.
Mm.
And we had to obviously abandon shoot. And and the next day when we wanted to get out, the whole entire crew, the cavalcade of 20, 30 cars, there was just no way out because this place where we had gone to, there was no road to it. It was like we were in 4x4 vehicles, and it was like sort of make your own way to this lake kind of a road. There was not even a dirt road, and everything was buried under snow. That was a really crazy day. I remember when we were trying to find our way, and we had the army coming to help us. And we were lucky we got out of there. I mean, there could have been a situation we might have been just snowed in for maybe weeks before we could get out. That was one really crazy experience that happened when we were shooting in Ladakh. Um, uh, and a very funny incident that I remember was when the actors had to get drunk for that scene that they're shooting on the on top of that water tank, which in itself was a really risky shoot because it was a very fragile. I mean, not very fragile, but there was a limit to how many people could go up to that water tank and what kind of equipment could go up to that water tank. The final ascent was on a ladder, so that shoot had to be really designed with that in mind very specifically. And then I think it was Aamir who came up with this idea that hey, let's have a couple of drinks and loosen ourselves up. And then yeah, soon enough the actors were quite drunk, and that really shows very beautifully in that scene. And
Yeah.
so it was a very fun sequence actually. But yeah, it's been so long. I mean, it's just a whole lifetime actually. But these two really stood
Um,
out. If I think back now, they really stand out.
right. How, so what has, I'm kind of go off topic with Three Idiots now. What was the catalyst of you getting into the film industry? Is there a specific film that you watched, a moment, any, in that
Well,
regard, what would that be?
honestly, I was an accidental filmmaker. I I had friends who were working in the film industry, and I I was looking for a job, and I got this job working on Lage Raho Munna Bhai, and literally it was just that really got me into the film business, and now it's been very the best decision that I made. Like screenplays now, I work as a writer and director. And of course, in India, it's very different from America. Here, it's very common that you start working as an AD and then kind of find your way into what you want to do. Some people direct, some people write, some people become DPs, some people
Mhm.
become producers. Kind of everyone splits into different routes. But definitely, I did not get into the film business with any kind of preconceived notion about where I was going to really land up. Uh, Totally, it was an accident.
Right. Um, and so you worked on Lage Raho Munna Bhai, which translates to Keep Going Munna Bhai, and then Three Idiots, and then where has your life sort of taken you to where you are now? Are you working on your own projects, or have you deviated from the film industry a little bit, or?
Um, no, I write and direct. I made a feature film last year, my debut, which premiered at Venice, uh, and it has been in 25, 30 film festivals since last September. Um, I've been working as a screenwriter for the last 5, 6 years. Before that, I worked in feature films for a long time. After 3 years, I did a few more.
Mhm.
And I finished working as a first lady on a couple of features. Then branched out into writing, some advertising. Now I'm a full-time writer director. I I work as a fan for hire screenplay writer, as well as of course write my own work that I do.
Right. So, you worked on Three Idiots, you worked on these six, I think, at least, and then Farari Ki Savari, and then Lage Raho Munna Bhai.
Yeah, yeah.
So, working with that. So for me, working with you obviously are familiar with Vinod Chopra's work, because he sort of pioneered all these films, the ones that you worked on. Was it something that you sort of chose to kind of go from away from the AD position because you wanted to pursue directing? And have you thought about going back into that world or working with that team in a capacity that is probably not directing or writing?
And I don't think I can go back to. I stopped ADing more than 10 years ago. I stopped ADing in 2011 after Ferrari Fi Safari. So it's been a
Right.
really long time. I don't AD any longer. I mean, it really brought out the worst in me. Though I was quite good at it, but I
How
think
was
I did
so?
not enjoy who I.
Why did it bring out the worst in you?
I think you really have to be this taskmaster that I don't like to be. But
Mm.
to get the job done, you have to do that. And personally, I prefer more relaxed, easy environment to work in. And if you're not relaxed, easy, AD, you'll never get anything done. Not in this country, definitely. So, I mean, it was good for me in the beginning to learn to, actually make my way into the industry deeply to understand filmmaking from different perspectives. But I don't think I would ever go back. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
If I had
No,
to
I
go
get
back to
it.
it a little bit, I would.
I I mean, you moved up in life, right? So, which is
Yeah,
something
I
I
moved up in life, you
respect.
can say so. And also, while
And
as
have
an
you
AD, I
do
only
you
work. No, no, it's fine.
no, please go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that as an AD, I only worked on big Bollywood production. But as a writer and director, I mean, when I'm not writing for others, especially when I'm writing for myself, I'm more in the sort of indie indie space. So through my journey, I also discovered that I am not a perfect fit for Bollywood.
Have you ever tried taking scripts that you've written to, people that you worked with? I know like when you work with people, like you probably don't stay in touch with them, depending on if there is a connection. But have you ever tried going in that direction? Like, here's a
Um,
good script.
Actually, I have been totally in touch with Raju sir, especially, and my other film, all of them. I mean, I worked with Rakesh and Prakash Mehra, Rajesh, I mean, all of my directors, I really developed a personal relationship with all of them, and so I'm totally very much so in touch with them. But I, I, my personal choices in filmmaking, I want to, as a choice, work outside the system and not
Mm.
work under a big production house, a big producer, a OTT platform. My first film was produced independently. I want to continue to make films independently. So for my personal projects, at least feature films, it's a whole different route that I want for myself actually. So I have not taken my scripts to them for that reason more than anything.
And I completely understand and respect that because the studio pressure or the production, independent, you still have pressure, but there's different kind of
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah,
Where you're trying, you don't have like a big group of people to back you, but at the same time, that's a blessing in disguise. But working independently versus working for a big production company or studio, I know what that's like, but just for the audience, how do you enjoy the freedom of sort of
yeah.
going is that pretty much
You
it?
got it. That's it. That's it. That's the one and only thing that drives me is creative freedom. Because if you take on the responsibilities of big productions, then you have to deliver the responsibilities of a big production. And that really drives your journey in a certain direction. And for me, I think creative control was something that was very important. And I would not change my journey for anything. I just go down this path again. I should restart at the start again.
So was there a specific moment, or was it throughout your work when you were working on the big films that epiphany came that, what, you see things, right? Like you see certain person coming in. I mean, although I don't think Rajkumar Hirani was pressured by anyone because has such a great track record.
No,
But
yeah.
what did you see that sort of made you realize that no, I can't? Was it just the whole overall scope and the
Um,
grandness and the
uh,
stress?
I would say, well, I would say that I mean, like I said, it was partly it was quite slow when I started to figure out that I don't want to work under the,
Banners.
control of a star, of a big producer, and, uh, you sort of go with what they wanted, and I wanted to have my choices in my own hands. That was the kind of slow process. But also, I was the first AD on two first time filmmakers, Mrigdeep Lamba and Rajesh Mapatkar, and their experiences certainly did inform my choice in a big way, about how I wanted to do things differently. And also, I think it's my work, which really doesn't fit Bollywood perfectly. It's slightly. I mean, I don't think it's very super art house or anything, but it's not full of song and dance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff now. I mean, even in the 80s, I remember, in the 90s, the art, independent cinema used to come out. But now with the advent of, streaming platforms, there is a lot of stuff coming out. But even within
Yeah,
that, like, like what was that movie? The one that just came out last year with Kareena Kapoor, and it was like a very dark murder mystery.
Nottingham
Um,
Murders,
no, 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 no.
something.
It was called Johnny John. That was a really, so if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a really good movie. I mean, I don't think it has any songs, maybe some background music here and there, but yeah, I mean, there is
It's
stuff being made
yeah,
now.
it's based on a really famous Japanese book, which I've read actually.
Oh, is
Um,
it?
yeah, Higashino novel, incredible novel. But yeah, I believe it's very good. I've heard from many people actually. I mean, the only reason I didn't get around to watching it because I already know the source material very well.
Well, if you've read the original material and it's plus the Japanese, I mean, Japanese and South Korean cinema is completely different. I mean, if you have, I one of some of the few Japanese films that I've seen are more horror, but have you heard of Ringu?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, with which they made The Ring out of, and then there was a Japanese version of Grudge. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, there's some good stuff from that part of the world for sure.
No, you're right. I mean, I think the one thing that definitely drew me to the film industry was that I've always been a crazy cinephile, and a lot of my influences are stylistic influences, aesthetic influences are certainly South Korean and South American filmmakers. So yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of I'm a bit of a film junkie, you can say, in some ways.
Then you must have seen City of God.
Of course, yes, it's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
One of my
it
favorite
is.
100 films.
It is an incredible movie, and I you might be interested in because if it's one of your favorite film. I spoke to the DP of that film, Cesar Shalone, and we had a great
Wow,
conversation about that film. It's an amazing film, especially the opening sequence is probably one of the best opening sequences I think and I've ever seen. The way it just pulls you in
it's
with the
top.
chicken and the knife.
I've actually read the script. I downloaded off the internet many, many, many years ago and read the script to understand how they've written the script and how that translated into the film. And the script
Yeah,
is also very good, very interesting script. But of course,
yeah.
the final version is too good.
Yeah, the visually that film is incredible, but like you said, I mean, everything starts with story. I was just talking to there and Sadeem Khan, which if you haven't seen, watch it. It's pretty good.
Mm.
And the whole idea, everything starts with story, right? Like, but the thing
Yes.
is that I think it's a problem everywhere in the world, even in Hollywood. Story is not something, and script is not something that people pay too much attention to. Probably more in the West than in the East, but still, if you have a solid story, then everything else more than likely should be able to fall in place. And the script, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. I wouldn't agree anymore. I mean, something that I learned from Raju sir, and I definitely my first immersion into any project is via the story, and most of my work that I have developed or developing, um, it's years in the making, maybe years in the writing before I even like have the confidence to get onto it. So,
Yeah, true. What are you working on next or now, or what's coming up? What's your future plans?
I'm doing some writing work. This year is a bit of I've sort of classified it as a work year to write because last year was just quite crazy with the feature. I'm writing a feature film for actually an Indian American director. I'm working on a series, sort of a big Amazon series right now. These two projects are one is almost at the end, the feature film, the series is kind of at the beginning, and I'm doing a little bit of rewriting on some of my older scripts, which hopefully next year I want to jump into next year. What's one of them is a story about a gay gangster in Mumbai, and the other one is a story of a young couple, and it's a dark romantic thriller about forbidden love stories. It's a, I mean, simply put, it is a kind of a disruption of the Romeo and Juliet theme that we turned
Sure.
on its head.
Awesome. And I'm sure you can't talk about the Amazon series, but is it a narrative series, and when is it supposed to
Yeah.
come out? This year or next year?
No, no, it's a long time. It's just we've just started the writing process. I don't think before 26 probably
Yeah,
at
it's
the
probably going to be two,
earliest.
3 years, probably.
Yeah, I mean I think 26. Hopefully, if we finish writing by next year, they can shoot it next year, and maybe it can release in 2026. I would
So
say.
are you one of the writers, or are you the writer on the series?
No, we have a writers team of four writers. I'm leading the team, but we have a team of four writers.
Amazing. Has the project been announced yet?
And I'm not sure actually. I mean, we've been working on it for a month, but I don't know if it's
Okay.
officially been announced. Actually, I'm not. Actually, that's the reason why I was kind of. I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, don't
say,
worry,
and
but
then I was like, oh, I don't. Yeah.
don't. Don't. I get it. I'm similar way. I mean, unless yeah, you there's so many things involved and everything. You don't want to reveal that until it's official. But listen, Karan, thank you so much, man. This has been great. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you so much,
Uh,
Jawad. Thank you for having me. I really
uh,
appreciate
and
it. It was great.
and maybe we can do another one down the road about some of your other past work, and as the series comes out, another work, we can chat about that too.
Absolutely, that would be great.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much,
Jawad.
Karan. Have yourself.
Have a good.
Take care.
Yeah. Have
You
a
too.
good day.
Bye
Bye.
bye.